Hi, everybody. Happy Saturday and welcome into Before the Sandstorm here on Gamecock Central. We are so excited to be here with all of you. Luckily, this is not streaming on YouTube TV. So everybody tune in. You can watch us. We will try to give you a great show here this morning. And we're just so glad that you're joining us here. I am Kendall Smith. He's Jack Veltri. And we're going to talk South Carolina taking on Ole Miss tonight, 7 o'clock in Oxford, Mississippi. And Jack, you are in Mississippi right now.
I am.
Tupelo, aren't you?
Yep, Tupelo. I feel like that's where everyone is staying because I have not been to
many hotels in Oxford.
I was about to say, Kendall, you know better than most of us do. There's probably no hotels out there. And
well, if you were going to get one out there, it would be like $1,500 a night because they don't have very many. And so it's like really high demand and they will up the prices.
Yeah.
Like no problem.
So we're staying, Katie Dugan and I, she's photographer covering tonight's game. We're staying about an hour away in Tupelo. So not too bad. And then we'll head over to the stadium here in a bit. So, looking forward to it.
Well, I know that everyone watching out there is hoping they can watch the game here tonight. And actually, our very own Wes Mitchell put out a great article that gives some options for you if you do have YouTube TV and you're worried about the dispute that's going on right now and potentially not being able to watch South Carolina tonight. Go check that out over on GamecockCentral.com. It's also on Wes's Twitter, too. So he did a great job kind of explaining some alternate methods that you might be able to watch tonight's game. But Jack, we say it every week. I feel like a broken record. This will not be easy for South Carolina to win this game. Ole Miss is a great football team, and they've proven that all season long. Before we get into all of that craziness, though, let's give a shout-out to Clint Hammond.
Yes, thank you, Kendall. So, Clint Hammond of CMG Home Loans. So, if you are in the market to buy a home or you just need help with your mortgage, any of the housing needs out there, Clint is your guy to get in touch with. He'll help you through the process, take you step by step, and clear up any confusion that you might have because, as we all know, it could probably be a real complicated process and something for especially like a first-time home buyer. So, but Clint will help you out, get you going along that way. Number to call is 803-422-6797. The NMLS number for him is 71597. Or go to ClintHammond.com for more information. He's a lifelong Gamecock fan, longtime supporter of Gamecock Central. Been in the mortgage industry for over 20 years now, so you know you're in good hands with a guy like Clint.
Absolutely. And Jack, let's just go ahead and roll right into things here today. South Carolina taking on Ole Miss. We always start with this question, and I feel like it's fair to ask it this week too. You're on the road. You're not in Oxford, but you're in the general area where tonight's game will be played. It will be at Vaught-Hemingway Stadium, like we said, in Oxford, Mississippi. What are you feeling for tonight? I mean, we know how things went last year for South Carolina and Ole Miss, and it was not good. That's the game I honestly want to forget the most out of any from last season. South Carolina, Ole Miss at Williams-Brice Stadium. South Carolina was coming off a bye week, and Ole Miss just came in and took care of business, no problem. You can't have a repeat of that this year for South Carolina, so what's your initial vibe on this game, Jack?
Yeah, I think this is going to be a tricky one for South Carolina to win. You're 12.5-point underdogs last time I checked. So you're going to be you're not going to have much of a chance in this one on paper, but good thing the games are not played on paper and they're played at the stadium. I think there's a window of opportunity for South Carolina to win this game. I think this is their best chance to win a road game the rest of the year. I don't think they're going to A&M and winning there in 2 weeks. I just think A&M is on another level this season. They've proven to me at this point that they're very legit. Ole Miss has a favorable schedule the rest of the season. They probably will make the college football playoff. One can imagine right now with one loss, and even if they lost another game, I think they're safe. But if you're South Carolina, got to get off to a fast start today. You can't come out of the gates looking sluggish because then you're just going to fall behind the 8-ball and you'll never recover. So I'm feeling optimistic. I would say I didn't pick South Carolina to win this game, but as we'll get into later, but I do feel like there is a chance they could win this game.
Well, there's always a chance as long as you're playing the game. So we'll see what ends up happening. What is not great for South Carolina are a couple of injuries that will obviously have impacts on today's game. But the one that really came yesterday as a surprise to most people because it hadn't really been mentioned throughout the week is that Dylan Stewart was added yesterday to the injury report, listed as questionable for today's game against Ole Miss. We know he suffered a hip injury against Oklahoma a couple of weeks ago. It was undisclosed what happened exactly to put him back on the injury report that was received yesterday. But what is the latest, Jack, on Dylan Stewart?
So right now he's listed as questionable on the availability report. Beyond that, we don't know much right now. The South Carolina is and Shane Beamer very, closed book with that sort of stuff. And again, he popped up on the injury report yesterday. So when Beamer had his call-in show on Thursday, Dylan was not on the report. So, and he already said that Buddy Mack and Jaden Sellers were both going to be out for this game. So right now, there's no clear update. I'll be at the stadium in a few hours here. And when the team's going through warm-ups, we'll have a better idea of what the case is with Dylan. The injury report, the final one, and it'll be posted on GamecockCentral.com, will come out at 5:30 tonight because kickoff is at 7, so 90 minutes before kickoff. That will give us the indication of what the deal is with him. I mean, I'm not sure, Kendall. I don't want to assume, but I got to imagine something happened in practice or something these last few days. But it probably has to do with, like Garnet Yardbird says here in the comments, if it's a hip flexor, it will likely linger a while. I mean, it probably, I don't know. I mean, it seemed like it didn't bother him last week, but in that Oklahoma game for sure. I mean, he barely played in that game. So you hope it's nothing. You got the bye week coming up here to rest after this week, but you're trying to win these games, and you need number 6 out there to go out there and do that. So we'll know more once we get to the stadium later on today. And as I said before, I'll have coverage from that and just a better idea of what's going to be the situation for Dylan Stewart.
Jack is always on top of it, so follow him on Twitter. Stay up to date on GamecockCentral.com. We will let you know the latest on Dylan Stewart. As you said, Buddy Mack not playing. Neither is Jaden Sellers. We already knew that, but the Dylan Stewart news yesterday, the questionable news, I guess, it really threw a lot of people for a loop because it's not something people were necessarily expecting. As you mentioned, Shane Beamer had not brought it up throughout the week, but he does have that hip flexor or hip issue that he was dealing with from a couple weeks ago against Oklahoma. Now, you need him out there. You really do, because defensively, South Carolina will need to have their all against a team like Ole Miss. Ole Miss has a pretty stacked offense. They're led by Trinidad Chambliss, who has a great story. Wasn't even the starter for Ole Miss at the beginning of the season. That was Austin Simmons. Trinidad Chambliss took over from there, has done a great job. And what's really the key stat I think that stands out to me the most, Jack, is that Ole Miss has one of the best offenses in the country on third down. Okay, one of the best. South Carolina defensively is one of the worst in the country on third down. So 45% of the attempts against South Carolina's defense on third down are converted. Whereas for Ole Miss, 50% of their third down attempts have been converted this season. It's not a great matchup if you're South Carolina, and that's why defensively you need everybody out there to try to pull out all the stops and, be able to go head-to-head with this Ole Miss offense. How can South Carolina's defense, and let's go safe here. Let's say no Dylan Stewart. Let's say he's not playing today. How can South Carolina's defense manage to stop an offense like Ole Miss? Because that's always been their thing. Since Lane Kiffin has been, their offense has always shined at Ole Miss. Their defense has always been mid, and we can talk about that in a second. But you got to stop the offense. How do you do it without Dylan Stewart? Say he's not playing today.
No, it'll be tricky. It'll be tricky for sure, because the thing with Ole Miss is they run the ball well, and it's not like Chambliss is the most amazing passer. I think that's where Simmons probably has Chambliss beat. However, Chambliss seems to run the RPO very well, runs that offense perfectly. And the interesting thing is he's only had one interception this year. This offense does not turn the football over. And if you're South Carolina, you are opportunistic and like to have takeaways. That's how you have had success in defense this season. So if you're Carolina tonight and you let's just say you don't have Dylan Stewart out there, you're really going to need to rely on, Brian Thomas Jr., JT Gear, Des U. I mean, you got some guys in there that have had to play a lot this year, but you're hoping they can kind of step up, fill that void, and everyone else in defense. But for me, I think in this game, it really does start with stopping the run, as it always does. But specifically in this game, just because we know Ole Miss is going to come out here trying to run the ball in this game with a guy like Kawan Lacey, who's been really dynamic this year. Kendall, he's already got 12 touchdowns so far this season. So stopping him, stopping this running attack, making sure Chambliss isn't a threat in the run game, I think is probably the main concern. Just because when you run RPO, there's always the chance that he could take off and do something. So you want to try to minimize those plays as much as possible, and then try to have him beat you through the passing game. And if he does, kudos to him. He's got good receivers, but I think it's nothing that South Carolina hasn't already seen. I mean, they faced Alabama last week, which I think is arguably the most, I mean, not dominant, but talent-wise, best offense in the SEC, I would say.
Yeah, I think the thing is today, like, make them earn it regardless. Okay, like, Ole Miss is the better team, and everybody knows it. And I know that that's tough to say. South Carolina does have a good team, and I've believed in them all season long, and I still can sit here and say I do believe there's untapped potential. But Ole Miss right now, based on what we've seen, is the better team. And South Carolina, we'll flip the script a little bit here and talk about the Gamecocks offense. They have been aggressive in certain situations this year. They've attempted more fourth downs on offense than any other program in the country. So there is kind of this aggressiveness on offense that South Carolina isn't afraid to tap into. However, it's a dichotomy because we've kind of seen like a pullback a little bit, it feels like, offensively in the same way. So I'm curious, Jack, how do you want to see that balance today? We saw the offense take a step forward last week, at least against Alabama. That's what it felt like. But with a team that will go for it on fourth down, of course, you didn't even want to be in that situation in the first place. But then also it seems like there has kind of been this pullback a little bit this season. What is the right way to go about it against a defense in Ole Miss that is not topping the SEC, by the way?
I don't think anything should be off the table in terms of laying it all out on the line this game. And kind of what I mean by that is if you are, let's say you're at like the 40-yard line and it's 4th and 2, 4th and 3, I think you should be going for it. Like South Carolina at this point kind of is just, they have to win this game to have any chance of bowl eligibility. Like you got to treat this game like it's like the Super Bowl. Like do everything you can to win it, because if you don't, your season's getting closer and closer to being over, and you're going to miss a bowl game and all that. So I think in terms of like, yeah, I mean, they do go for it a lot on fourth down. The key for them today, though, and it sounds cliche, it is, though, doing well on first and second down. So you avoid having to go for it on fourth down every single time. And look, I mean, if you turn it over on downs, your defense is good enough to go out there and get a stop. We've seen it before where South Carolina's turned the ball over and the defense gets a stop, holds the team to a field goal, etc. But if you're this offense today, I mean, build off of last week, but I think part of that is taking some chances and taking some risks, and I think you live with it if you do something along those lines.
Well, we will see. For South Carolina, I think, it's also, you can't do field goals. We talked about this last week too. At this point in the game, especially against teams like Alabama, teams like Ole Miss, field goals are not winning games, right? So you got to go big or go home today if you're the Gamecocks. And this is a really big one, I think, because the pressure has been building for a while in terms of a bowl game, but this is kind of like you got to have an upset in the next 2 games. And of the 2 environments to play in, as much as Ole Miss is very tough to play in, and I will give them credit for that. They don't have the biggest stadium in the SEC, but oh my gosh, those fans show up and show out. It's still not quite as big. The crowd, in my eyes, is not the same as a Texas A&M crowd that people talk all the time about how that's one of the hardest places to play in the SEC.
Totally.
So you have to win one of these next 2 games, then of course beat Coastal and Clemson to become bowl eligible. That is seeming less and less likely. Obviously, as the weeks go by, it's still likely. It still could happen, I should say. But the pressure is kind of on here in this moment. So I agree with you, Jack. You just kind of have to go. Like, I don't want to use the term throw spaghetti at the wall and see what sticks, because that's not a great way to think of it. But you really have to put it all out there, and you have to compete in all three phases. And we know Vakari Swain has been sensational, for South Carolina on special teams. So maybe even a little bit from him. Would love to see a defensive score. But we talked about this earlier in the season. Don't just rely on defense and special teams to score your points, okay? We need to see momentum continue to build for the offense. So with that said, Jack, I'm only letting you choose one player today that you think will make the biggest difference across the board.
I'm going with the easy pick here. I don't care if you have them or not. Number 16, Lenore Sellers. Like, everything, and Kendall, it's okay. This is the same answer you have. This is the guy everything runs through. You want to have a chance to win this game today. It's with him on the field. Like, put Luke Doty out there, put Aaron Noland out there. It's not the same. You don't have a chance going up against Ole Miss. But Lenore Sellers will always give you a fighting chance to win a game, just because he is that good as a quarterback. And we saw a lot of good things from him last week. I know everyone wants to talk about the fumble at the end of the game, but that's just a really good play by Alabama, too. Can we give credit there where it is due? Alabama forcing the fumble there. It's just a tough play, a tough break at the end of the game. Even some people want to talk about the interception, which, watch the game. It was not his fault on that play. So my point is, Lenore was playing pretty well in that game, good enough to give you a chance to win. And I expect the same thing tonight. I expect another good performance here from him. I think this offense is going to take more steps in the right direction. I don't think I have them scoring a ton of points on my staff picks, but looking back on it, I probably could see this offense going out there and maybe putting up enough points to give themselves a chance to win this game. I think what they did last week of kind of just simplifying the offense, less volume, calling a few less plays, eliminating some of the bad ones and focusing on what are our best plays, who are our best players, and how can we get the ball to them. They did that a lot with getting the ball in 16's hands. I kind of feel like that's what we're going to see a lot of more tonight.
I love the positivity here. This is great. Yeah, obviously, Lenore Sellers would be the pick, I think, for most people. I'll go position group here. I really do want to continue to see more out of the offensive line. They've gone through a lot over these last few weeks with coaching changes and whatnot. They've dealt with a ton of injuries this season, but I would really like to see a breakout game from the offensive line. Of course, when we talk a breakout game from the offensive line, they probably won't receive credit for it anyways, because if Lenore has a really good game, then you can go ahead and thank the offensive line for part of that, because they are a big aspect of a quarterback being able to be successful. They are the most underappreciated spot on the field, and also the most likely to be picked out first and kind of blamed first. And so that's why I do have a soft spot in my heart for the offensive line, especially this group, because I know it's been a rough season for them. So I am ready for their breakout game. I'm ready for that to come today against Ole Miss, and I think they're ready for it. So Lenore Sellers and the offensive line working in tandem here today. Let's see the offense just start to get its groove going. And I can't pick a better time for this to come out, mostly because my brother went to Ole Miss. So please, let's pull off the win today, because I would love nothing more than to rub it in his face. Okay, go ahead. Were you going to say something?
No, and I agree with you on the offensive line. The O-line, I think they don't get a ton of credit for last week. The run game was not particularly great, but only one true sack given up by the O-line, and that came at the end of the game. So overall, a much better performance last week. And I think it is starting to click with Sean Elliott as the O-line coach now, kind of getting across his message, his play style, and it's reflected in how the team played last week. The offense was a lot better, but can it continue to be better? I think it does honestly start up front with what the O-line, like you said, Kendall.
Totally agree. Okay, let's do our usual, Jack. Let's talk across the league real quick, just SEC and then across college football. Some games are already happening right now. One that I'm interested to watch tonight, Southern Cal at Nebraska, a little Big Ten challenge. And what do we think, Jack?
At some point, Nebraska's got to be a top 25 team. I think tonight's the night. I said it early in the year that they were going to beat Michigan when they were ranked, and that would have been their signature win. Didn't happen, so I feel it tonight. I think Nebraska's wearing black jerseys tonight. I could be wrong on that, but thought I saw that somewhere. But night game at in Lincoln, I think Nebraska gets the job done.
Okay, let's move on to the SEC. We had a few picks this week across the SEC. The games are not nearly as big, I would say, as they've been the past couple of weeks, but both of these teams really would love to see win. It's Mississippi State at Arkansas, and I have Arkansas winning this game. Oh, I forgot to say I have Southern Cal beating Nebraska.
There you go.
But yeah, let's move on to the next. Mississippi State at Arkansas.
We've had Mississippi State games a lot in staff picks, just because those have been pretty interesting games. I've picked Mississippi State every single time this year. That's just not, it's kind of a coincidence, honestly, because I picked them to beat Arizona State. They won. But then these other games like Tennessee, Texas, games like that where I picked them to win and they end up falling just short. Even Florida, that game too. So, I mean, I would like to pick against Mississippi State because I know when I do, they're going to end up winning. But I'm picking the Bulldogs, and I'm going to just see if they can get the job done. I think they're going to get a win today. That's what I'm going to get at here.
I like Mississippi State. They're like one of the teams in the SEC that I just like. I do. I have Arkansas winning this game, but if Mississippi State wins, I won't be mad. I just enjoy the program. I like the fans. And plus today, you got to pick Mississippi State because South Carolina is playing Ole Miss. So it's just
exactly.
An extra little, there you go. Okay, this one's already happening. And we have score update. It's halftime, 24-10. Texas leads Vanderbilt. I had Texas winning this one.
I had Vanderbilt winning this game. Not saying they can't come back here, but not good so far.
So far, not so good. Clemson's beating Duke right now. I think it is 28.
Yeah, it might be 28.
Yeah, that's half. I had Clemson winning that game too.
Same. I have Clemson winning that game too. I know they've had a lot of struggles this year, but they're at home. It's a noon game. I feel good about them winning. So it's almost halftime. There's 37 seconds left.
All right, Jack, let's get into tonight's game, South Carolina at Ole Miss. I'll start with this one. I have Ole Miss winning 27-13. And I wish that I could give South Carolina more points. I hope they do. I hope that they score more. I hope that they keep it a little bit closer. But I just think Ole Miss has been pretty consistent this year. Of course, they had the hiccup against Georgia, but that was still a close game, and it was on the road at Athens, which is not an easy place to play in. Other than that, they've looked pretty good throughout the season, and I just think that South Carolina is still trying to find its footing a little bit, and maybe they'll pull some momentum from the Alabama game. I feel like it usually goes one of two ways. Of course, it goes win or loss. It's going to go one of two ways, but it's going to either go like South Carolina is going to come in with that momentum, feeling great and like just play lights out, or they're going to come in and struggle a little bit from kind of a defeating loss last week. That's at least what I think. And I do think Ole Miss will win this one. Like I said, I think they're the better team at this point in time, and it's going to be tough for South Carolina to get it done on the road, as much as it pains me to say that. Hope I'm wrong.
I hope we're both wrong, honestly. I don't think anybody picked South Carolina to win, and that was coming off a decent performance against Alabama, where they should have won that game. They should have won that game. R.L. Smith says, I wish I could see a way that SC could win. I agree. I think there is a chance. Like, I would give probably like a 30% chance to see South Carolina win this game. A lot of things have to go kind of according to plan, like they did last week against Alabama, where you need to force mistakes in this game and you need to take advantage of those opportunities. You did that last week, and then fourth quarter happened and you came up short. This week, Ole Miss does not turn the ball over. They're not amazing defensively, especially on run defense, but Ole Miss can go out there and score points. I'm not concerned about that. The way I look at this game, Kendall, is pretty simple. Ole Miss is off to a really great start this year, 7-1 on the year. Pretty much, I think they're going to be a college football playoff team at this point. I just can't see them having two slip-ups the rest of the way, with the schedule being Carolina, Citadel, Florida, and then you go to Mississippi State, and 3 of those games are at home. Ole Miss is just on one this year. I think this is a legit team that can go on a serious run in the playoff. And then you have South Carolina that's lost 5 of their last 6 games. Hasn't looked great most of the season. Kind of figured it out a little bit last week, but they haven't won on the road this year. And I know it's November. And Shane Beamer's teams are great in the month of November. But this is a different season, different team, and I don't see it happening today. So I'm picking South Carolina to lose this game 31-17. I think it'll be a little bit close at the start. I can honestly see a way in which the Gamecocks find a way to get maybe above like 25 points, and maybe that might be enough to win this game. But Ole Miss is just a very good team, and at night, Vaught Hemingway, I think they get the job done.
Yeah, I would agree with everything you said, Jack. My family, my parents went to Indiana, so they're big Hoosiers. My brother went to law school at Ole Miss, so obviously he's rooting on Ole Miss. And I wouldn't change a thing, you know? I love South Carolina no matter what. Even though it's been a rough season, even though things haven't gone the way that we would have hoped, I still love being a Gamecock. And last weekend at Williams-Brice Stadium was the reason why, because that place was still packed, sold out, and everybody showed up and showed out for the Gamecocks, even though they didn't have to, even though some of them probably didn't want to. But this fan base is dedicated, and I'm grateful for that and grateful for all of you that are watching. So you know what? I wouldn't change a thing. Give me South Carolina every single day, no matter what, even though my family is like, oh, it feels so good to be us, you know, look at our alma maters. Well, guess what? South Carolina's time is coming. Okay, let's be positive here. It'll come. This season has been rough, but there's still an opportunity to maybe deliver some positive moments, and maybe that comes today against Ole Miss. Kickoff at 7 o'clock. It is on ESPN. Again, if you didn't hear me at the top of the show, Wes Mitchell put out a great article on ways that you can watch this game if you have YouTube TV. There are some other streaming services. You can get like 1-day free trials to certain places. So go check that out on his Twitter or on GamecockCentral.com. We want to make sure you all can watch this game because I know it's so important to all of you. So thank you so much, everybody. We appreciate you as always. Jack, have fun in Oxford. There's so many good restaurants there. So if you get a chance, go to one of the late night places and grab a bite to eat because I do love the food in Oxford, Mississippi. It's a really cute college town. It is really, really cute. So
looking forward to it. It's going to be a lot of fun.
All right, everybody. We'll see you soon. For Jack Veltri, I'm Kendall Smith. This has been Before the Sandstorm here on Gamecock Central. Happy game day, everybody. Bye.